10 years ago, the evil Demon Lord and the hero group fought against each other in an intense battle to the death. The Demon Lord's power oppressed the group, but the hero, Max, refused to give up. He stood tall despite the injuries and motivated his companions. With the help of his friends, spells and defense, Max managed to use all his power in one single attack. They defeated the Demon Lord. But before getting a final warning, the Demon Lord promised that one day he will return and get revenge on him. But now in the present, the defeated Demon Lord, true to her word, returned in a smaller form to face the hero Max. Xania, the Demon Lord's assistant, greeted her and revealed that she was the only one who had awakened since the battle. The others remained unconscious for a decade, which disappointed her. Xania encouraged her to find clothing and she asked if she had grown taller in her absence. The Demon Lord grew furious when her old robe turned out to be too big for her smaller form. Xania showed her his reflection to make her understand that her body was still developing. She dressed her in various costumes, but she found them all ridiculous and demanded that she stop. The Demon Lord inquired about the hero Max and speculated whether he had become powerful or joined a royal family. Xania informed her that Max had not involved himself in politics or society. The Demon Lord suggested that Max had devoted himself to training and expressed his desire to meet her again. Xania reminded her of other pressing matters, but the Demon Lord insisted that Max was their enemy. Xania clarified that Max was human and would eventually age and die, suggesting they shouldn't obsess over him. She agreed to assign a team to monitor Max. The Demon Lord grew suspicious and questioned Xania about any hidden information, even suggesting the hero had been murdered. Xania reassured her and Demon Lord used her third eye to confirm that Max was alive. She scolded Xania for making her worry and decided to visit Max personally. Despite Xania's pleas, she insisted that her duties could wait since the others were still asleep. Demon Lord reassured her that she only intended to greet the hero and asked Xania to prepare supper for her return. Xania desperately tried to convince Demon Lord otherwise, but Demon Lord disregarded her concerns and left, causing her distress. As she flew across the city, she observed the human advancements and sensed the hero's presence nearby. Arriving at the designated building, she confidently entered, expecting the hero to be taken aback by her return. However, she was astonished to find a disheveled man staring back at her. The Demon Lord was confused by the disheveled man in front of her and asked for his identity. Surprisingly, the man claimed to be Max, the one she is searching for. Max questioned if she was truly a demon because of her horns and asked about her intentions. The Demon Lord recognized the sacred sword Blaze Bringer in the room since it was the sword used to defeat her. Max then remembered that she had proclaimed her return. As they sat facing each other, the Demon Lord wondered if this man was really the hero from a decade ago. Max confirmed his identity and the Demon Lord pointed out some changes she noticed, including a double chin. Max dismissed it as the effects of aging. The Demon Lord criticized Max for changing, and Max responded by saying that the Demon Lord had changed too, mentioning her uniform. The Demon Lord started tidying up his room, while Max expresses surprise at witnessing her clean. Max warns the Demon Lord to stop snooping, but the Demon Lord continues. She noticed the laptop, making him impressed by human technology. Max reprimands her, and the Demon Lord announces her rebirth with the intention of dominating Max in the human world. However, Max remains indifferent, frustrating the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord asks for a reaction from Max, who dismisses her and reveals that heroes have no place in a peaceful world. Max shares his story of being expelled without recognition after defeating the Demon Lord, leading him to his current state. The Demon Lord becomes angry on Max's behalf and investigates Max's name on a laptop. The Demon Lord discovers tons of articles labeling the hero as an offender, involved in a physical assault and illicit substance use. Max denies the accusations, but the Demon Lord scolds him for not handling those situations better. Max becomes emotional, recounting the unjust treatment he endured in the derogatory names he was labeled with. The Demon Lord tries to lighten the mood with a sarcastic comment, but Max doesn't find it helpful. The Demon Lord shows Max a video of his post-victory interview highlighting his confidence and aspirations for a peaceful world. Max becomes enraged and demands that the Demon Lord turn off the video. They argue about Max's arrogance and the reasons behind his downfall. The Demon Lord noticed a photo of Max and his crew on a table and admonished him for taking better care of the photo than his sword. Max denied it, but the Demon Lord observed that the Max and the picture looked healthy and full of potential. Wondering what had happened to him, Max found the Demon Lord's comments creepy and asked her to leave. The Demon Lord inquired about Max's relationship with his crew, and Max revealed that he hadn't seen them in years, explaining that people only stick around if they have something to gain. The Demon Lord disagreed, suggesting that Max's cynicism had driven his friends away. Max dismisses the Demon Lord's comments and insists that he doesn't understand, urging him to leave. Feeling a sense of sadness, the Demon Lord realized why Xenia had tried to stop her and considered her premature awakening a waste. As there was no longer a hero to be found, she decided to leave, declaring that they wouldn't meet again. Max accepted her decision and bid her farewell. In a fit of anger, the Demon Lord unleashed an attack at Max, but he swiftly dodged it, grabbed a pillow, and smacked the Demon Lord into the door with it. As the Demon Lord felt dizzy and started to lose consciousness, she chided Max for still retaining her powers. Upon waking up, the Demon Lord finds herself inside a cupboard and realizes that Max spared her life. She overhears voices outside. Curious, she confronts Max for engaging in a disturbing, self-needed moment. The Demon Lord questions why Max didn't kill her when he had the chance. Max responds that he is no longer a hero and has no reason to kill the Demon Lord. Not wanting any articles written about it, Max offers the Demon Lord a cup of coffee, which the Demon Lord complains about. Expressing a preference for orange juice instead, the Demon Lord acknowledges that the earlier fight convinced her that Max still possessed the qualities of a hero and hadn't lost his sharp senses. However, Max dismisses the Demon Lord's assertion and implied that the Demon Lord herself had grown weak. This infuriates the Demon Lord, who declares that she has only recently awakened and, to regain her power to rule again. Promising another duel between them in response, Max remains calm and refuses to make any promises. Max expresses his weariness with the world and his lack of desire to play the hero once more. He believes that with time, a new hero will emerge to confront the Demon Lord if she attempts to destroy the world again. Upon hearing this, the Demon Lord feels deeply saddened, but ultimately accepts the reality of the situation. She expresses gratitude to Max for his hospitality before taking her leave, and Max reciprocates the appreciation, bidding the Demon Lord farewell and appreciating the change of pace. Max, continuing with his lazy routine, was preparing to take a bath when the Demon Lord unexpectedly returned with groceries. The Demon Lord expressed concern for Max's health and expressed her intention to use the kitchen and cook a meal for him. Max was shocked and questioned the Demon Lord's actions, finding them unsettling. The Demon Lord explained that upon reflection, she didn't want to neglect Max, and she herself still had much to learn in this changed world. As a result, the Demon Lord decided to stay with Max for a while despite his shock. Max refused to babysit the Demon Lord, but the Demon Lord insisted that she would be the one taking care of Max and that Max should be grateful. The Demon Lord prepares a meal for Max, who begrudgingly admits that it is decent. When mysterious voice emerges from the cupboard leading the Demon Lord to suspect Max, but Max denies it. The Demon Lord brushes it off and encourages Max to eat while the enigmatic creature continues to observe them. That brings the episode to an end. Things continue. In the morning, Demon Lord tries to wake up the hero Max, but he keeps sleeping like a dog. She thinks that he is only acting, so she tries enticing him by telling him that breakfast is ready for him. But Max doesn't respond, so Demon Lord wonders if he is even alive and checks if he is breathing. She tries to shake Max, which causes him to act as if he is having a nightmare, and she finally feels relieved to know that Max is indeed alive. After eating breakfast, Demon Lord washes the dishes when Max decides to head outside. Demon Lord wants to tag along, but Max doesn't want that, as the only reason he's going outside is to get away from her. Demon Lord wonders why that is, and asks Max if he feels embarrassed to be seen with her. Max thinks that she is talking just like his mother, so he tells her to stop acting like an old lady, and explains that he actually doesn't want her to go outside as people will freak out seeing a demon. So he tells her that if she wants to leave this apartment, she has to do something about her third eye and her red horns first. Because Demon Lord doesn't know any concealment magic, she lets Max go alone and wonders what he does all day outside. She assumes that he must be undergoing some sort of secret training and preparation for their rematch, and decides to confirm her suspicions. She realizes that she doesn't actually need to conceal her horns, as she could just shapeshift into someone else, and shapeshifting is a Demon Lord's area of expertise. But she doesn't know what form she should take and takes inspiration from Xenia, who showed her a schoolgirl's outfit and decides to disguise herself as a student. So she uses her metamorphoses magic to shapeshift and disguise herself as a fully grown woman who clearly doesn't fit into her clothes. However, Demon Lord thinks that her disguise is perfect and decides to go out. Right then her demon horns starts popping out. and she assumes that this is happening because her magic is dissipating. So she realizes that she cannot lose focus and remains vigilant. Shortly after, Demon Lord walks around the human realm, as she calls it, for the first time in the last 10 years, and becomes the center of attraction because of her clothing. But she doesn't realize that, as the writers themselves don't intend to, and instead admires how humans have built tall buildings and skyscrapers. The candy van stops in front of her, so she takes a taste of that and tries out more human food like kebabs and sandwiches. After filling her stomach, Demon Lord comes across a video shop but skips it as she doesn't find any interest and keeps looking for Max. After searching everywhere else in town, this is the only area left, so Demon Lord assumes Max is probably around here somewhere and successfully locates him. So she activates stalking mode and eagerly waits to see what kinds of secrets Max is hiding. She follows Max to a convenience store, but doesn't go with him inside. He quickly goes in, comes out after buying a beer, and again begins walking aimlessly. So Demon Lord realizes that he isn't actually doing any secret training, but instead is slacking off. Max then goes to a park and begins eating snacks. So Demon Lord wonders why he is so pathetic. Some kids come to the park to play and recognize Max as the hero, which makes Demon Lord happy, as she realizes that there are still people out there who idolize Max. However, the three kids aren't here for an autograph and instead challenge Max to play soccer against them. The girl among the kids sees Max holding beer, so she calls him a pathetic loser for slacking off and roaming aimlessly. The three kids look down on Max and claim that they can beat him in a soccer match, but Max is actually good at soccer and doesn't even let any kids take the ball from him. He doesn't understand the first thing about playing with kids, which is to go easy all the time and annoy the kids. So one of them kicks Max in anger, so he pulls up the kid and punishes him by making him feel like he is flying. After playing with the three kids for a while, Max moves on to train them how to fight with the sword. He proudly tells them the story of 10 years ago when he fought off a whole swarm of demons single-handedly. He shows the kids how he sliced and stabbed the demons and takes pride in it. Demon Lord, who is still stalking him, sees how even with a bunch of literal children around, Max is perfectly fitting in with them as if he were also a child. One of the kids' moms comes to the park and scolds him for playing with an old man as she takes him away. The other male kid also decides to head back home and reveals to Max that his mom has disallowed him from playing with him too. Max doesn't feel bad. Instead, he tells the kid to always listen to his mom. The little girl tries to make Max feel better by telling him that her parents don't care one way or the other, but still she decides to leave as her friends are gone, and she promises Max that she will be back again to play with him. Now that Max is left alone, he finishes his beer and falls asleep on the bench. Demon Lord wonders why Max didn't just go back to the apartment if his only aim was to sleep all day. She thinks that there's no point in trying to stalk him anymore and decides to head back home to get dinner ready. But as she begins to leave, she sees three thugs approaching Max to bully him. They try to wake up Max, telling him that he can't just sleep in a public place and hold him by his collar to forcefully pick up a fight. Max warns the thug not to push it and asks them if they don't know who he is. The thug bets that Max is just some homeless lazy bum and begins to insult him. One of the thugs even punches Max in the face to make him fight back. Demon Lord realizes that if Max does fight back, he will end up on the headlines of the national news and will be despised by the people for violently attacking a civilian. So she hopes that Max will not pick a fight. He indeed doesn't, and he tells the three thugs that they aren't even worth his time. It seems only sleeping is worth his precious time, and he tells the three thugs to head back home. But they're not going without a fight and start to beat up Max, saying that they're only doing this as a favor to society and claiming that society would be better without a loser like him. Max of course doesn't fight back and takes the beating silently, but Demon Lord can't take this anymore, and uses her hypnosis magic on the three thugs to make them fall unconscious. Because of her magic, Demon Lord returns to her true form and tells Max not to worry anymore as she is here for him now. But instead of thanking her, Max gets annoyed at her for not helping him sooner. Anyway, they went back home together and Max calls himself pathetic for what he does every day. Demon Lord cheers him up and offers to make him dinner, but Max takes off again as he claims to have some other business to attend to. Demon Lord comes back home and decides to make Max's favorite hamburger steak. Meanwhile, Max goes to the video shop and ends his day by watching what he calls business stuff. The next day, Demon Lord disguises herself as the hot girl once again and buys some groceries. Max sees her from a distance and immediately falls for her looks, not knowing she is Demon Lord. After Demon Lord comes back home in her usual form, Max tells her about the hot girl and Demon Lord thinks that he is speaking of someone else. She proceeds to make the meal and Max starts eating. Their apartment's bell rings, so Demon Lord goes to find out who it is and sees that it's Xenia. Xenia gets in tears after finally finding Her Majesty, and upon seeing Her Majesty living and breathing, she finally feels relieved. Demon Lord asks her what her business is here, as she strictly told her to wait at the castle, but Xenia explains that Demon Lord only went out, claiming to be back in no time, and yet, she was gone for days. It seems Xenia is rather exhausted. So Max offers her some food and she starts gulping up all of their dinner. After eating, Max and Demon Lord shares as well. Xenia compliments the chef for having great skills as a chef. Max gets irritated as he can no longer enjoy dinner, and Demon Lord tells him not to worry, offering to cook him something else later. Something gets stuck in Xenia's teeth, so she asks for a toothpick, which makes Max wonder if she is even a woman. Demon Lord explains to Max that Xenia is her secretary, even though she doesn't look qualified for that. However, Xenia takes pride in being Demon Lord's servant and reveals that she trudged across the land for 3 days and 3 nights looking for her. So she basically walked here, even though there are buses and trains everywhere, which explains why she was so exhausted. Xenia reveals that she didn't even hide her demon form, and in these 3 days many humans have seen her. But she thinks it's not important, and what's most important to her is to take Demon Lord back to the castle. Xenia tells her not to associate herself with this washed-up hero, and she will just waste her time and her brain cells. Although what she is saying is disrespectful, it is quite true. Still, Demon Lord doesn't want to go back and would rather stay with Max. Xenia wonders if the lazy virus from Max has spread to Demon Lord already. Max can't take the insults anymore and encourages Xenia to take Demon Lord back right away. Demon Lord gets offended as she claims to be the only reason why he is still functioning, and thinks that he would just die on the road if she left him alone here. Max doesn't want to argue with her, so he takes his offer back and lets Demon Lord stay, but Xenia remains determined, and even returns to fight with Max to take back Her Majesty. Max notices that Xenia is wearing knuckles, and Demon Lord explains that she is only fighting barehandedly because she cannot use magic, which also explains why she walked all the way here. Demon Lord tells Xenia that she doesn't stand a chance against the hero, but she doesn't listen and goes to punch him. So Max shows Xenia a glimpse of his powers and immediately wins the duel. Xenia, upon realizing that the hero isn't completely useless, apologizes to him sincerely. Xenia realizes why Demon Lord speaks so highly of Max's strength and thinks that it is admirable. Demon Lord sees Xenia sweating quite a bit, so she tells her to go take a bath. Max wonders when Demon Lord became the co-owner of this place and notices that she is getting too much into being the waifu. Later, while Xenia is taking a shower, Demon Lord apologizes to Max on behalf of Xenia. Max doesn't mind as he has already forgiven her after taking the shower. Xenia comes out of the shower and almost demonizes our entire YouTube channel. Demon Lord decides to go shopping, leaving Max alone with Xenia. Xenia drinks beer and acts rudely towards Max again, telling him not to do anything wrong with Demon Lord because she drank beer. Xenia lost her sanity and attacked Max, so he ran out of the apartment to get away from her. Other chase continues until Max decides to finally fight back. At that moment, the police arrive and arrest Xenia, as they have gotten complaints from many civilians that she has been running around town without wearing any clothes. Xenia finally comes back to her senses as she realizes that she is wearing nothing and gets into tears. Max apologizes to the police on her behalf, and they let her off as they recognize Max as the hero. Later, Demon Lord also apologizes to Max on behalf of Xenia. Meanwhile, Xenia comes there, revealing that she will be their neighbor from now on, to keep Her Majesty safe from Max, whom she still considers to be a vile man. That brings the episode to an end. Things continue in another distant city, in a flashback to Max and his friend's humble beginning to demon warrior. Max and his friend journey around and they pass through an empty forest. They look at the cloud and they assume that it seems it will rain soon. As a result, they assume the cloud is like that because of the rain. As they keep walking, they notice something coming nearer to them. As can be expected of warriors, they immediately turn so they can defeat whatever is coming at them, and it turns out it is demons. They try to fight the demon, but realize that the demon can't even get nearer to them. It is at that point that they realize that what is covering the sky isn't clouds from rain, instead it is a barrier. It is not a minor one, but a very strong barrier that is used to secure the city. They continue their journey and they go to the temple. At the temple, they witness a cleric speaking to some gullible members of the city that although they had been able to stop demons from attacking them for a long while, they have not been able to do well at it. He tells them they must do better to stop the demons from attacking them, and he thinks it is best if they all make personal efforts to protect themselves. He tells them that he is selling a talisman that will protect them all from any demon that sets out to attack them. He says he will sell the talisman to them at a very low price, and they all struggle to get it. The warriors enter into the temple and they wonder if the cleric is sincere or if it is just another scam. The cleric goes to meet them and he asks them who they are and if they are also there because they want to buy the talisman. He asks them if they want to buy and they insist it is just another scam. The cleric refuses to accept what they mean and tells them that if they aren't ready to buy what he is selling, then they should leave him alone, so he can sell to the other people who want to buy. Suddenly some demons jump into their building. The demons break the barrier because they are there in large numbers and they begin to attack everyone there. The demons fight the people and the warriors and the clerics start fighting back. At one point, one of the demons attempts to attack one of the members and the member brings out his talisman to attack the demon. When he does so, the talisman shows signs of being effective, which makes him assume the talisman is effective, but when he opens his eyes, he sees that the demon is still right in front of him. He shows forth the talisman again and closes his eyes because he is scared. Luckily, one of the warriors comes to save him, and one of them also saves the cleric from the demon. They all reunite to fight again. The cleric tells them that he knows they are not just normal passers-by, and they also tell him that they know he is not a normal cleric. On the other hand, Xania, Max, and the demon lord keep living together in peace. Xania tells Max that she wants to ask him about something, and Max also sees that the demon lord is holding a document. He attempts to take it and read it, but the demon lord stops him. He unfortunately gets a hold of it, and when he opens it, he sees that it is a documentary that contains the effect leading to Leo the warrior's deflection. He stands up immediately and leaves to take a walk to cool his head. After he leaves, the demon lord tells Xania that she didn't intend that Max will see the document and that she knows that Max is quite emotional and knows Max doesn't like sharing whatever is hurting him with others when he is going through pain. And also says she is sure Max doesn't want to have a conversation about his old friend Deflection in a bid to clear his head from all he's going through at the moment. Max walks around the city, but unfortunately for him, he falls into the hands of some journalists who had been waiting in ambush for him so they can interrogate him about the video they saw of Xania chasing him out of the house naked. They show him the recording, and he is shocked that someone can be jobless enough to record such a thing, even when it is harmless. He hopes that the journalists won't be able to recognize that Xania is a demon. They ask him what he knows about the lady that is chasing him, and he tells them he knows nothing and that the young lady is just a friend who was drunk and decided to start a drama. They asked him if he had intercourse with the lady and what he had done to her for her to chase him like that, and he explains that he has done nothing to her and it is because she is drunk. He tells them the lady is his friend and he doesn't think they want that kind of attention. They ask him if the lady is a minor and he screams at them. He says he is sure the lady is not a minor, and he made sure he did his research well before he became friends with her, so they don't have to worry. The journalist refuses to stop. They ask him again what the girl does, and he tells them that he thinks the girl works at an office. He says she is just visiting and it is nothing serious. So if they don't mind, they should allow him to leave because he has something more important to do. It doesn't seem like they are ready to do so. But before they bombard him with the remaining questions that they have for him, they ask him if he has anything to say about Leo's defection. He turns to look at the journalist and he leaves her. He runs away from there and takes the next corner. The journalists decide that they are going to stalk him, so they can find out his house and they can see if the lady is still in his house. And they can take a video coverage of when she is coming out of the house. He rightly assumes that they will stalk him, so he immediately enters through the next corner. He steps into the mud with one of his legs, and he uses it to create a sign that he has passed through another route, and he uses it to distract them. They eventually follow him as planned, but can't see him. They are angry that he was able to deceive them, and that he could escape from their grasp. He comes out of hiding, looking at his dirty legs, and he is angry at the journalists. He is more angry that he can't even leave his house to take a walk again, because everywhere he goes there is always someone or something waiting for him. On the other hand, he is also glad that the people didn't recognize that the lady that came out of his house as a demon, and he also wonders who took that video. He eventually goes home. Little does he know that Fred, his former colleague, has been stalking him. Fred eventually sees where Max lives and says he is disappointed that a hero would be living such a bad life and says it's due to Max's actions. Immediately after Max enters the house, the Demon Lord is angry because he is coming inside the house dirty. The Demon Lord says his cloth is muddy and asks him where he is coming from. She says she doesn't like the way he looks and she goes to bring another pair of pants for Max. She attempts to pull Max's pants for him so he can wear other pants on him, but Max is embarrassed because of how the Demon Lord is doing, and says that he wants the Demon Lord to turn away from him so he can change his pants himself. The Demon Lord wonders why he is feeling embarrassed that day when she is the same person that walks around the house with just his underwear since the day they have been staying together. The Demon Lord insists on helping him, saying he could use the opportunity to wash the dirty pants immediately. They keep arguing about this while Fred and his new subordinates walk towards there. When they knock on the door, as they hear the knock on the door, the Demon Lord immediately figures that the person behind it is powerful. She tells Max to change his dress so they can attend to the door, but Max tells her that the fact that the person behind the wall is someone who is powerful is another reason why the Demon Lord should hide so she doesn't put him in another trouble. Reluctantly, the Demon Lord decides to hide. She enters into a cupboard and hides there. Max goes to attend to the door and he sees that it is Fred. He asks Fred what he is looking for in his house, but Fred says there is nothing wrong with old friends visiting each other, which is not a big deal. He says he just wants to talk with Max and Max should allow him inside the house. Max is reluctant at first, but Fred insists and claims he doesn't want his other colleagues to enter in. His colleague can just go take a rest because it is a meeting between old friends, which is him and Max. He enters the house and looks around. He says that Max's house is looking much better than he expected it to look like and the house is tidy. He also says that Max is living well. He sees Max's old sword and asks him why he isn't using the sword. Max says there is nothing he wants to use it for. He also says that the sword is bigger than his cupboard, so there is nowhere for him to put the sword. He asks Fred what he has visited for. He claims he knows Fred didn't come to survey the house, but Fred says they can talk. Later Fred reminds him about his magic circle and its use of it, and later sits down to have the conversation he had come to have. He says he has come to talk about the Gamma Republic. The Demon Lord recalls that the Gamma Republic is a country that was created by the people who had deflected, and they are headed by Leo. Fred tells Max that no matter how much Leo disguises himself, they aren't a republic. Instead, they are a team of traitors who have taken over the city's land. He says that recently Leo's audacity has become so loud, and he will do anything to take the city, which means that a war is imminent. He asks Max if Max knows what that means, but Max doesn't care. He removes his cap and he begs Max. He says he wants Max to fight with him again, but Max looks at him and says no. Max says he isn't interested in carrying the sword again, but Fred tries to beg him. He says that if Max accepts to return, he could convince the government to give him a governmental position, so he will earn money and live nobly like the hero that he is. But Max refuses again. Max says there is no way he could convince him and he should leave as he is about to do so. He says he knows Max has been enjoying, and he saw a video of a naked lady chasing Max. He says Max could convince the others about who the lady is, but he knows the lady is a demon. He claims he hasn't told anyone about it and that he can keep it a secret if Max joins the force. But Max says no. Fred asks to search Max's cupboard where the Demon Lord is hiding. Max refuses at first, so he insists, so he allows him. When he opens cupboard, a ghost chases Fred away. Fred gets scared. He can't even walk home, and his subordinates have to carry him home on his way. He says that he will ensure that Max later joins him, and he will do it, not because of himself, but because of Max too. The Demon Lord comes out of hiding and Max asks if she scared Fred, but the Demon Lord says he didn't do anything, but she is glad they aren't caught in the flashback to the war. The two warriors and the cleric destroys the monster, and the cleric confesses that he is a fake cleric. The warriors tell him that he tried to protect the people with his barrier, and he really did his best. They asked him to follow them. The cleric introduces himself as Fred, and one of the warriors, Max, welcomes him. That brings the episode to an end.